Hello, my name is Ian Morrow, and I'm the Executive Director of the Pacific Institute for Climate Solutions at the University of Victoria in British Columbia, Canada. I'm coming to you from Lekwungen speaking territories of the Coast Salish people, and that matters because the original inhabitants of these lands, people who have been on these waters and territories for thousands of years, have witnessed environmental change. They have navigated it. They have tremendous insight to help us collectively figure out how to deal with climate change through Indigenous science, Indigenous values, natural law, an understanding of the laws of nature. And I've had the great privilege of working with Indigenous people in many parts of Canada, including the Canadian Arctic. And I met Siila, a visionary, an Inuit leader who has helped us to understand how Indigenous knowledge can actually support the highest levels of climate law and governance. And she helped to bring the Stockholm Convention into ratification, one of the most important and fast moving environmental treaties that the UN ever produced, and also linked climate change and human rights and brought the first petition to the Inter-American Commission on Human Rights, claiming that the United States had violated Inuit rights for their unabated and unchecked emissions. And that opened the conversation to the linkages between climate change and human rights. And Sheila, or Siila, as you'll hear, is very pleased to be in these conversations. And I'm going to show you a little conversation that we had to bring this message to you at COP28.
I'm an Inuk woman from Kudrak in Nunavik, but having lived also in Nunavut for almost 2 decades, I traveled only by dog team the first 10 years of my life and didn't learn any English till I was 6. Went on to do education work, trying to improve our education system. Then I did a lot of international work, elected with the Inuit Circumpolar Council on the POPs Treaty, the persistent organic pollutants that led to the successful Stockholm Convention on these toxins that ended up in our food chain and the nursing milk of our mothers. As a mother and grandmother, for me, it was a no-brainer to say, this is not just a chemical story. We were successful by engaging in the politics of influence rather than the politics of protest and educating the world about who we were and what toxins meant for us in terms of health. You know, I was out there putting the human face to these issues. Toxins in our food chain and climate change are very paralleled in the Arctic. It's all about urgent health matters and it's all about cultural survival, both of them. And so they intersect. Climate change is yet another assault on a way of life that has so negatively impacted us. And so I became the spokesperson for the coalition of Indigenous peoples of the circumpolar world in protection of Inuit rights and culture. We were able to then just switch right away to addressing the issues of climate change because the two are very interconnected. And that work led me to pioneering the work on connecting climate change to human rights. And so we were able to really get the attention of the world on climate change as a human rights issue. And we were ahead of our time. Within 5 years, it became mainstream language, climate change, human rights issue, where the UN, Amnesty International, and many other organizations now see it as a human rights issue. So we paved the way for that.
A lot of your story is obviously inside your book, The Right to Be Cold. What does that mean to you, that statement?
Well, it means everything to me. The right to be cold is our right to health, our right to our homes. There's so many rights involved in that. Every right that we have that is already entrenched in international law is the right. And it's our right to be Inuit as we know it. And our right to be Inuit as we know it has been limited and diminished because of all of these environmental problems that we're facing today. We thrive in the cold. Our animals thrive in the cold. We thrive in the cold. Ice is our life force, and this is really about the livelihoods of Inuit, the culture, the wisdom, because as the ice goes, so does the wisdom of Inuit. The solutions are not far from home. They are home. And for me, I really do believe strongly that culture is our medicine. And I also strongly believe that Indigenous wisdom is the medicine the world seeks in addressing sustainability issues. Don't see the Indigenous wisdom or Inuit wisdom as victims of globalization, of commercialization, of climate change, but see us as teachers. And once you see us as teachers, we have much to teach about these issues. It's about building partnerships with those that I think are going to be grounded in the understanding of Indigenous wisdom, and building those kinds of partnerships with others who have that influence and the resources around them that would help to elevate those kinds of messages to the world. But again, as I always say in my talks, it will happen at the speed of empathy, and it will happen at the speed of trust. And those are really important in terms of building empathetic, deeper understanding of Indigenous issues, because then you can create a building of trusting relationships. That's reconciliation in real time. And so again, it's about working together. How do we build a sustainable world? And for me, leadership is really important. Leadership is about really bringing those pieces together from an authentic place. We are the land, and the land is us. We've got to be real about these issues, and that we've got to think differently.
These wonderful insights that Siila has presented help us to think about the interconnections and that Indigenous wisdom as the medicine that the world needs. And I hope that medicine reaches you at COP28. I hope it enriches your day. I hope it enriches the dialogue. And thank you for letting Siila and I make this small contribution to the gathering. And over to Mary Claire and the other folks in the session. Enjoy your day, and let's carry this work forward in a good way that respects Indigenous peoples from all over the world. Thank you.